Sarah Turney was just 12 when her sister disappeared, but as she grew older and began to revisit what she remembered, things stopped making sense. Sarah started digging through her father's boxes of recordings, transcripts, police files, and evidence. She asked the hard questions the police weren't asking, and the answers she found would forever change her life.
Alissa hadn't acted out. She hadn't planned to run away. She had confided in friends that she was terrified of her father, that he was too controlling and possibly even abusive. One friend said Alissa told her that Michael had tried something inappropriate, though Alissa never filed a formal report. Alissa had reportedly told a school counselor that her home life felt controlling and unsafe. Sarah began advocating online. She launched a podcast called Voices for Justice and a social media campaign that went viral. She posted videos on TikTok and shared personal stories on Instagram, bringing renewed attention to her sister's case. She contacted reporters, lawmakers, nonprofit organizations, and true crime creators. She pleaded with law enforcement to take another look. Gradually, momentum began to build. In August 2020, nearly 2 decades after Alissa's disappearance, Michael Turney was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The indictment shocked many people. Although there was no body, no physical evidence, and no DNA, prosecutors believed they had enough circumstantial evidence to make their case. They argued that Michael Turney killed Alissa on the day she disappeared. He had lured her home under the pretense of lunch, confronted her about something, possibly the abuse, and silenced her permanently. They believed he staged the note to make it appear like she had run away. However, the case encountered challenges from the outset. The most significant setback arose during pre-trial hearings when the judge ruled that many of Alissa's remarks to her friends about Michael's predatory behavior were inadmissible as hearsay. This testimony constituted the foundation of the prosecution's argument. Without it, the case fell apart. On July 17, 2023, after the prosecution rested its case, the defense filed a motion for acquittal. The judge granted this motion, stating there was insufficient evidence to support a conviction. As a result, all charges were dismissed, and Turney walked free the following day. For Sarah, it was devastating, but not the end. She has continued to push for justice, not just for Alissa, but also for other victims and families. Her podcast now highlights other cold cases. She's worked with lawmakers to propose legislation that protects victims' rights in cold cases and expands access to investigative resources. She's also been outspoken about her own trauma, about growing up in a home where she was manipulated and isolated, about the grief of losing a sister, about the horror of realizing your parent might be a killer. And she hasn't stopped, not even for a moment. Today, Sarah Turney is one of the most prominent victim advocates on social media. Her TikToks reach millions. Her story has been featured on 2020, Dateline, and multiple podcasts. And she still believes the case isn't over, that one day the truth will surface.
Alissa Turney was 17 years old when she disappeared. She loved music, made people laugh, and dreamed of living in California someday. She had a big heart and a brilliant mind. She was brave, bold, and ready to embrace adulthood. She deserved to live that life. Instead, her story turned into a cautionary tale about secrecy, silence, and the consequences of ignoring red flags. We may never discover what happened to Alissa, but we must always remember her life mattered. She was cherished by many, and she is still deeply missed.